We've traversed the tombs of Naxxramas. We've climbed every cliff on Black Rock. Now the world cries out for heroes as a new evil rises.
Welcome to Gamereactor TV and Blizzcon 2015. And this time we are doing Hearthstone. We got some pretty spectacular announcements already. Can you tell us about the new adventure?
Sure. The League of Explorers. You'll get to join 4 kind of ragtag explorers as they band together to find this super exciting artifact, the Staff of Origination. It's a really fun new adventure. There's 45 new cards, a new keyword, discover. It's going to be a lot of fun.
So it's going to be a little bit shorter adventure this time around, right? Like only 4 wings. But how did you come up with the whole concept of it? It's pretty. I would like to maybe say campy almost with the. So how did you come up with it? It's not the. I don't think that's the first one people were expecting to come.
That was part of the way we came up with it. Actually, is we wanted to do something that people weren't expecting. We've done some raids and dungeons in World of Warcraft, and we wanted to take a step outside of that, mix it up a little bit, do something people weren't ready for. And so when we thought about kind of non-raid, non-dungeon-y things that we could explore that were maybe a little underexplored in the Warcraft universe, the Explorers League came up, and we were excited to kind of blow that out and see what new directions we could take it.
So there are 45 new cards. Do you have already your favorite card?
I do, yeah. Rachelle's got one also.
My favorite is actually Sir Finley Murgleton. He is crazy. I mean, when you play him, you get to choose a new basic hero power, which is just mind-blowing. That's one of the things I love about League of Explorers, is that there's so much that just changes up what you fundamentally thought you were doing with your deck, with the Discover keyword, and with Sir Finley in particular. If you're a mage, you no longer have that 1 damage hero power when you play him, which is great. Well, it can be great if you choose wisely.
I really love Elise Starseeker. It's just such a great story. She is the leader of the League of Explorers. She's been everywhere. She's mapped out all the dark corners of Azeroth, and she knows where all these cool artifacts are. And so when you play her, she shuffles the map to the Golden Monkey into your deck. If you find the map, then you can find the Golden Monkey. He goes into your deck as well, and if you draw him, he unleashes pretty amazing power. He turns all your cards in your hand and your deck into legendary minions. So it's a fun quest to go on throughout the course of a game. The animations and sounds are awesome. I'm a huge fan of that card.
That's pretty insane to have all your cards legendaries in one go. Yeah. How do you think the new cards will affect the game balance that is right now?
Well, we want to mix up the metagame, and that's one of the biggest reasons we release new cards. Is we want to keep changing things and allow new avenues for discovery and for new types of decks. There's a lot of cards that we call deck building hooks, cards that will inspire you to build a brand new type of deck. All 3 of the Shaman cards are kind of pillars for you to build decks around. There's a card that rewards you for playing lots of Battlecry minions. There's a card that rewards you for playing a lot of Murlocs. And there's a card that rewards you for playing with Overload cards. And so hopefully we'll see a lot of different types of brand new decks coming out of League of Explorers, and it shapes up the meta.
The other great thing, too, is that we release each wing 1 at a time, 1 week at a time. So this is going to be a meta shift over the next 5 weeks. There's 4 wings. We're taking a small break for Thanksgiving, but that means that things are constantly going to be evolving over the next 5 weeks, which we're really excited about.
Yeah, that's a big question, the balance, of course, in the community. And you're like almost the face of Hearthstone, and you get to interact with the community a lot. So how do you think that the community, what do they get right, and what do you think they get a little bit wrong when they are doing their requests?
Well, they get a lot right. I mean, one of the big things they say is, "This is how I feel." And the community can't be wrong about how they feel, right? Like, it's how they feel. So we just have to look at what they're saying, try and figure out what the core issues are and what's making them feel good or bad, and do more or less of those things. And one of the things that's I think maybe hard to see from the outside is how complicated simple issues actually are, or how much more complicated issues can be than they seem. So even things that seem really simple, like adding more deck slots, actually they can be simple, but there's lots of options for how we implement additional deck slots. We want to at least pursue a lot of those options, do mock-ups, try and do the best thing. We didn't make Hearthstone awesome by just doing the first thing that came to our mind. We iterated a ton, and there's a great talk that Derek Sakamoto did at GDC this last year. I recommend it if you're interested in UI design at all, which a lot of the feedback we get is UI-based. We show a lot of the iterations of the collection manager over time and how it came to be. It just really illustrates how much we go back to the drawing board and try things just to get the user experience perfect. And so often, even though we agree with the community, we should have more deck slots, how do we do it? It takes us longer than people would seem like it should, and that can be frustrating for the community, sure. So the community gets a lot right, and mostly it's our job to respond and make sure we're making Hearthstone better all the time. That's really the big goal for us, is just make it awesome.
Right. Yeah, I was thinking about maybe the biggest complaint I think I have heard from all the communities is that they think that you underestimate the player too much. How do you respond to that kind of criticism?
I've heard that, and it's I think in response to some things that I've said a long time ago and even recently about making sure the game isn't too complicated for new players. And when I talk about complexity, really Hearthstone's big goal, card games have been around a long time, and they're super fun. We're all huge fans of card games. With Hearthstone, we really wanted to bring the fun of card games to more people. And in order to do that, we really had to get a smooth curve of complexity from simple cards like Fireball and River Crocalist to a lot more complex mechanics like Ice Block and Inspire and Death Rattle and these kinds of things. And that curve of how we introduce you to stuff is important to us. The first time you go into the collection manager or into the arena or into play mode, we want those experiences to be not overwhelming. And the truth is that our current invested players, they are not going to be overwhelmed. We can add a bunch of crazy things, and it's not really going to phase them because they've already learned a lot of the other stuff. The trick is, I think in almost every case, we can both make a new feature that doesn't daunt new players and doesn't make it seem like a complicated game, and also make that a feature powerful for our current engaged players. So when I say that I'm worried about things being complicated, it's not that I'm worried that our players can't get it, and that our players are super smart. It's that initial experience has to be right because we really want this to appeal to so many people. This game should be for everybody, and we can, I think, appeal to everybody, but we want to take our time and make sure that we polish things and get there.
All right, just a couple of quick fire questions about cards.
Yeah.
Mysterious Challenger, any chance that it could be modified in any way?
I mean, any chance? Sure. Yeah, I mean, we don't like the nerf cards. I mean, you could see when we've nerfed cards in the past, sometimes we get a positive response, sometimes we get a really negative response. People really like some of the decks that we've taken down in the past. So it's tough. Really, there's kind of two metrics that really push us into nerfing something or not. One of them is, what's the win rate? How good is the deck? How powerful is it? And the other thing is, how often do you play against it? Because if you're just playing against Mysterious Challenger all day, every day, it doesn't matter how powerful the deck is. You want to see new decks and new things. The League of Explorers will shake things up. We'll see some new decks. It should be pretty exciting. And Mysterious Challenger's probably on the edge of comfortableness to us. But right now, by the metrics that we're looking at and the feedback we're getting, we're not have plans to nerf it just right now. But we always pay attention to that stuff. We're always looking. We just recently made some balance changes to Grim Patron because it was getting played so much on the tournament level. So it's tough. Balance is very hard to get right, and there's always going to be a best deck. There's no way to avoid that. So the question is just how bad is a deck? Are we looking at? And if we nerf cards, what does it get replaced with? It's hard to do.
Yeah. That was pretty much the most interesting response to nerf I have ever seen. People were screaming about nerfing the Grim Patron deck, and then when it happened, the response was pretty overwhelmingly that it wasn't what they were hoping. How do you think about that response?
Well, it's tough because I understand where the community is coming from. I think most of the dissatisfaction was related to where we ended up with the specific nerf for Warsong Commander. Some people are, still really wanted to play the Grim Patron deck. The nice thing about that is that the modified Grim Patron deck that without Warsong Commander is doing quite well in the World Championship. Fortunately, I just saw Tice get knocked out, so it's out of the tournament. But he went really far with it, and that deck's still around. But people, it's hard to see a card that you play with and like, come down so far in power level. That's hard. So, but it's tough. That with the things that were important for us for that card is we just wanted to change as little about it as possible. It's a subjective thing. Other people might have changed more about it, but we just felt like that is mildly better than changing more. And we'll make more powerful Warrior cards in the future. It's not the end for Warriors, and we really announced some really exciting new Warrior cards for League of Explorers. But yeah, I understand why people are upset about Warsong Commander.
And to wrap things up, I wanted to ask about the new player experience. We have now almost have 3 new adventures and 2 expansions, and it's starting to be pretty expensive for new players. How are you planning to ease up that process when new players come in and they have like million things to buy and to acquire? So are you planning anything about that?
So that is super important to us. The new player experience. We want, like Brode said, we want everyone to be able to play Hearthstone, and that includes people who are playing now and players who are not playing now who might want to jump in. The new player experience is critical to making that possible. So we are always looking at that, and like you say, there's a lot of adventures. Now they're going to have 3, and there are several expansions. We are aware that this is overwhelming. There's a lot of cards, and we're looking to solve that problem. So we hear you on that one, and we don't have an answer just yet, but we are thinking about it really hard, and we'll let you know when we do.
All right. Any last words about the League of Explorers?
It comes out next week. It's coming. I mean, I don't think anyone expected that, but we're super excited about it.
Really looking forward to it. So thank you very much for the interview.
Oh, our pleasure. It's awesome. Good talking to you.
Adventure we seek, cross land and sea.